The set of ideas known as critical race theory is fueling a national debate about how to acknowledge a legacy of systemic racial inequities. Some conservatives call the theory anti American propaganda, a cult, and a virus more dangerous in the long term than COVID-19. Jennifer Graham explored why some conservatives oppose teaching critical race theory in an article published by Deseret News. She also discussed why critical race theorists see the framework of ideas as an overdue reckoning with America's past. Jennifer Graham joins me now. She's a reporter who covers conservative culture at Deseret News. Jennifer, welcome. Great to have you with us. So you say supporters and opponents have both struggled to define critical race theory. What is your definition?
Well, I'm not a scholar of it, so I would hesitate to be the person who gives the definitive definition of critical race theory. But I can tell you that the generally agreed upon definition would be the idea that race is not a biological construct, but that it is man-made. And the idea that it was man-made as a way to oppress people, in a way to enforce white supremacy, and that all public policy needs to be adjusted to reflect this.
And so what do you think, when conservatives are criticizing it, what is the definition of critical race theory that they have in mind? What do they think it is that makes it a target?
Well, part of the problem is the problem defining it, right? Because there's not a simple definition. I mean, we're talking about academic theories that go back decades and originated in the Harvard academic community among legal scholars. And so to different people, critical race theory, or CRT as it's more easily known, it means different things. And it's very easy to ascribe, as the editors of National Review said recently, to ascribe it in terms that are more memorable and more easily definable, like a noxious ideology. And so it's been easy to affix these labels to it, which have made it easy kind of talking points for conservative radio and TV.
Well, what specifically is it, though, that conservatives are pointing to when they say this is a serious threat to the country and a setback to race relations? What specifically are they referring to?
Well, there's three problems as I see it, as I hear articulated over and over again. And the first is that there is thinking that we're going backwards, that CRT is taking us to a place that we were decades ago, where we looked primarily at the color of someone's skin and made decisions based on that. And many people in conservative circles have said that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have opposed this, that he would have conducted sit-ins against this, because it does seem on many levels to be kind of the opposite of the ideals and principles that he so memorably espoused in his I Have a Dream speech about looking at content of character, not color of skin. And critical race theory seems to make us look at color of skin again. It takes us to a place where we, again, craft public policy and in some ways educate our children based on this ideology, which is all about the color of skin.
Right, although I guess it's looking at the color of skin and seeing how outcomes have been different because of that, if I'm not mistaken, which is certainly the case in this country, and critical race theory has been around for decades. How has it evolved, and why is it now gaining more momentum? Why is it both being attacked and supported? Why is it more in the public lexicon now at this moment?
You raise a really interesting point, because this is something that's been around for decades. But I think the average person on the street, if you stopped and interviewed them and said, when did you first hear this term? They would say, oh, a month ago, because it was something that kind of simmered in academic circles. It raised its head briefly in the public arena during the Clinton presidency, when his Lanny Guinier, his nominee for Assistant Attorney General, some of her writings that was supportive of critical race theory came to the forefront. And ultimately, President Clinton dissociated himself from that line of thinking. So it went back to the Academy for a while, but two things happened that caused it to resurface recently. And number one was in 2019, the New York Times published the 1619 Project, which proposed a radical way of thinking about the founding of America. And then the year after that, of course, 2020, was when George Floyd died. And so these two things together kind of created a perfect storm, if you will, of societal conditions where we were all had this heightened racial sensitivity. And proponents of critical race theory very rightly saw an opportunity to put this forward. And there was a rash of books published last year, and many people were able to expound on these theories and bring them into the public arena. And in doing that, it also went over the fence in education for the first time, right? It got to this place where it was now being talked about as something that our school children need to learn. And if there's anything that gets conservatives upset, it's about something being taught in public schools that they don't believe themselves or don't understand themselves. And that's what's really brought it to the forefront over the past couple of months.
All right, well, Jennifer Graham, thank you so much. I think this is something that we'll all be talking about for a while to come, but we appreciate you giving that particular perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and interest.